Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. It is Friday, and with me in the studio, Alan Ruff and Barry Ferguson are here to look back over the nightmare in Russia. Yes, we can only look back and, well, Ruffy, it's something we all expected. 4-0 was still painful to watch last night in the Luzhniki Stadium.
Yeah, it certainly was. The first half performance was a solid performance. But these quality teams just wear you down. Eventually, if they get a goal, that's plan A out the window. You know, if you've not got anything else, you've just got to hang on in there to the end. I said right at the very beginning, this is a 2-year project. I thought even our best players, the McGregors, the McGinns, the Christies, are still 2 years away from reaching an international performance yet. They're playing top level football, but I think to get to that international level, we're going to get the benefit of these players. I think we have to wait a few years yet.
Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi takes us back over the 90 minutes of misery.
Scotland are at their lowest point according to manager Steve Clarke, following their crushing 4-0 qualifying defeat to Russia in a Luzhniki Stadium last night. Scotland started well enough, keeping things tight as the score was level at the interval. But when captain Artem Dzyuba struck midway through the second half, the team collapsed. All game plans went out of the window and Russia ran riot. Dzyuba and the excellent Alexander Golovin terrorising the backline. The problem for Clarke is not the result, but more the lack of progress, and the fact that the team is devoid of belief and fight when one goal down. The former Kilmarnock boss branded the performance as dreadful and claimed his side have fragile confidence, but he stated he is a fighter and will continue to work hard to improve. Over the next 3 games, the Tartan Army faithful will be hoping to see improvements in results and performances. Sunday's home tie with San Marino should be a foregone conclusion, so the next real test will be Cyprus away in November before, of course, the crucial Euro 2020 playoffs in March.
Yeah, hard to view over the 90 minutes. I'll give you my thoughts on where we're going on this in a moment, Barry. What did you make of the 90 minutes?
I thought the first 45 minutes was okay. Yep. You come in at half-time, goalless, you'll take that, and then you need to go out in that second half and make sure it stays that way for at least 15-20 minutes. And it's just lack of concentration for the first goal. The guy loses his marker, they scored, and after that, it just looked to have the confidence just drained right out the players, and there was only going to be one winner, and it was a matter of how many goals. I know the second goal was an absolute peach, a strike for the boy, but overall disappointing. Stevie Clarke he'll be worried. He'll be a worried manager, travelling back in that plane, thinking what sort of formation and whatever to try and get this team back, playing some decent stuff. The good thing is we've got San Marino, who, let's be honest, are a poor side. So that's the best game after a heavy defeat in Russia, for the boys to get some sort of confidence back. And now it's a chance for them to probably think, right, the way I'm going to go forward, what guys are going to go forward with me. There's a few guys that are obviously aging in that squad now. It's about time he brings in players who he thinks can go on with him in the next couple of years. But overall, it was a disappointing night. As I says, after that first goal went in, I was shocked the amount of confidence players they lost, and it's up to guys in that team, the experienced ones, to try and galvanise the other ones who have not got a lot of experience. But hard watch. Good thing is you've got San Marino next, and you've got to look to beat them with at least 4 or 5 goals and get a bit of confidence back.
Well, certainly Belgium managed to take 9 of them and equal what Russia had managed to do. But if you want an overview without any hysteria that seems to have followed on from the defeat against Russia, I'll be perfectly honest with you, some members of the Tartan Army wanted rid of Gordon Strachan at a time where I thought there was improvement. So they got their wish, and Gordon Strachan was duly jettisoned by the SFA. Then they bungled into the Alex McLeish appointment. That proved to be a disaster until, again, we end up appointing a man with a good pedigree, and I think he's a good manager in Steve Clarke. I think some of the Tartan Army and some of the critics need to belt up, shut up, and get ready for backing this manager. It's not going to be a quick fix. I think we've got to stick with him and let him put in the future for Scotland. We've got to make 2 steps back before we go 3 steps forward. And I think it's going to be more pain before we get a little bit of gain, Barry.
Totally with you. First point you made, I think they got rid of the wrong man in Gordon Strachan. Actually enjoyed watching Scotland under him. I know towards the end they had a couple of iffy results, but I thought they'd done the wrong thing in getting rid of him. I thought they looked a team that had real togetherness about them. They looked well organised under Gordon Strachan. But listen, they made a decision, and now it's fell to Steve Clarke to pick the pieces up. But I'm with you. You've got to get behind the guy. I do think he's a very good manager. You just need to look at the job he done at Kilmarnock. But it's going to take time, Peter. You'll need to blood a lot of guys who have not got a lot of experience at international level. For myself, it took me at least 10 to 15 caps to get into the mindset of playing international football. So we need to back him. As I say, I do think he's a very good coach, there's no doubt about that. But it's going to take time to blood these younger players who have not got a lot of international experience.
And with that in mind, Ruffy, I always think we're at a certain level and calibre of player that we're picking anyway, which is not taught draw again. I mean, you only have to look at Golovin, who clearly had skill, great technical ability. You only have to look at Juba. He was a man who can hold the ball in, he can cause havoc in the penalty box. We don't have game changers. What we have to find is a format that makes us difficult to beat. And then hopefully from somewhere, as well as closing the back door, someone who can open the front door and score goals for us.
Yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent, Pierre, about us being hard to beat. But we shouldn't be having to go into games and being hard to beat against Kyrgyzstan and Cyprus. And okay, the big sides, I agree with you, make us hard to beat. But we're going into these games and we need to go into these games to win them, not to be hard to beat. We need to show people that we can win games. So when we get to the playoffs, we're on a wee win and run. The fans come back, the players get a wee bit of confidence. So it's must wins for me. No more tinkering with it. Get your best 11 on the park. Start showing everybody that they are good young players coming through and get right behind them.
But Ruffy, with all due respect, Barry, we've scored 3 goals and conceded 14 in this qualifying group. All of our efforts must be to try and get the organisation that Ruffy's talking about. I don't think we're capable of taking the game to even the lesser nations at the moment.
Certainly, teams like Belgium and Russia, you've got to hold your hands up. Certainly, when I was playing early 2000s with the Scotland team, we had to be honest with ourselves and say, look, we're coming up against the top teams. We're no better than them. We've got to come up with a system that were hard to break down. But also, on the other hand, what Ruffy said, when you're playing Kazakhstan and Cyprus, if you look at our squad, we've got good enough players to beat these teams. I honestly believe that. So now it's down to Stevie Clarke to try and get a formation to play against top teams and play against teams that you think you should be beating.
Let's just say he gets a formation.
Yep.
Now, if he has to blood some players that don't have a lot of experience, and he's going to have to do that because the experienced ones are past their sell-by date. I mean, I'm a huge admirer of Charlie Mulgrew, but Charlie Mulgrew's running on empty. He's 34. Yep. He's helping us in a very difficult situation. And, it would be easy to make him a scapegoat. If they're going to blood people at a younger level, you know what it's like. These guys have to suddenly, if you're saying you took 10 to 15 games, what's it going to take for these guys 3 games before we're facing a playoff in March?
Well, he's got a perfect game. He's got San Marino, who, all due respect, are a poor team. So this is the time to go and blood these guys and give them the experience of playing at Hampden. Playing in front, I know it's not going to be a big crowd. I think there's only 9,000 tickets sold, but I imagine there's going to be 20-odd thousand there. Blood these guys, get them in, used to the playing at Hampden, as I says, playing international football, even if it's against a poor team. Get them in, get them to know the game, and I think it's perfect. We've got, I think after San Marino, who's it next? Is it Cyprus?
Cyprus.
Again, a perfect game to go and blood these players. Give them the experience of international football. It's different for club football, but the only way these guys are going to get the experiences is playing against these teams.
Yep, absolutely. And over and above that, Ruffy, I still think, I don't know where we're going to get the goals from. And no harm to the boy Chris Burke. He's had 2 big transfer moves, but for me, I think he's been sold way above his ability to score goals, if that's what he was bought for. If he's not a right winger, he's certainly not a midfielder. He's definitely not a striker. I think we've got to look to a Shankland, someone else, a Turnbull coming through, somebody coming through that might, a Griffiths coming back to score us the goals, because that boy can't play with his back to goal. And last night, even though he hurt his back and he was injured when he went off, blistering pace is one thing, technical ability is another at that level.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing the decline in that department over the last 6 or 7 years. If you were a Scotland squad getting announced, would have at least 4 decent strikers, you know, all playing well at their club level. That doesn't happen now. You're right, Griffiths is our main one just now. I feel sorry for the wee boy Russell, who's travelling all the way to America, and he's not even getting him a shot. You know, he might be, I don't know, not an out-and-out striker, a target man or anything like that, but he certainly, any time he's given a shout, he's put himself about. We just don't have it. We don't know about Griffiths. We don't. And if you look at all the good international sides, the striker wins you games. You look at it last night with Russia. Russia were nothing each. Who comes up with a goal? The main striker. Yeah. And that's the guys who win you games.
I think the 2 guys you mentioned there, Oliver Burke, for me, he's a wide player. Johnny Russell, for me, he's a wide player. He's not a forward. We're left with Ollie McBurney, Lee Griffiths and Shankland. Now, Lee Griffiths is obviously, there's issues in terms of injuries. He, for me, is a number 1 striker, but he's not played any football, Lee Griffiths.
Yeah.
So, until we get him back or somebody comes out the woodwork for somewhere, we're going to struggle in that department.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry that the first 12 minutes was all doom and gloom, but that's what happens when you're a fan of Scotland. Certainly there was a point last night where it was just agony. I was thinking, please don't announce there's 4 or 5 minutes of injury time in this one, because there could have been another couple added to it. But nevertheless, we go on. Hopefully we will back the manager, and it's onwards to San Marino first of all, and then a couple of games before we look towards that qualifier. Can we make it to Euro 2020? From this point of doom and gloom, only time will tell. Here's the winner of our quiz. Well done to Liz McDade giving us the answer to our quiz, which was, of course, 1970 World Cup final, Brazil 4, Italy 1. For me, it is, you know, it maybe not the best ever World Cup final. It's certainly up there, Ruffy, as one of the best World Cup finals. But for me, it's the best World Cup team of all time, unless you're about to tell me something different.
No, I would agree with you. I think if you ask any Brazilian as well, they would say that was the best side that they've had. The players, the quality in that side were just a joy to watch. It was fantastic.
Yeah, incredible. And Ruffy, I might as well look at you, because Barry, were you born, Barry, in 1970?
Oh, come on. Before my time.
Do you remember the Italian who scored, Ruffy?
Was it Carlos Alberto?
That is unbelievable. The Italian.
Oh, sorry, no, you asked me that before.
I thought you said.
No, I was going with the quiz question. Who scored the last goal? Oh, Oh, you told me this as well.
Yeah, I told you the other week there. Okay, the answer was Bonensenia, who scored. But you're right, that Brazilian side, Gerson, Tostão, Clodoaldo, Jairzinho, and of course the wonderful number 10, Pele. 4-1. What a game. If you ever get a chance, if you're a young person and you like to go on YouTube and look at the game, just watch the fourth goal, which, as Ruffy mentioned there, their captain Carlos Alberto scores after the most unbelievable passage of play and passing. Fantastic stuff. Okay, to domestic issues, you can always tell it's an international week. Sometimes you always get somebody who thinks, well, it's pretty quiet. I'll do a wee interview with somebody who's about to throw a grenade. And your old teammate Kenny Miller's certainly thrown one. He has branded Rangers' treatment of Lee Wallace and himself as disgusting. Here's the crux of some of the points he made on a podcast. A lot of things happened in my last 6 months at that football club that were unforgivable actions by people. I would never treat anybody the way that both myself and Lee Wallace were treated. I'd never treat my worst enemy like that. People at the football club wanted to make scapegoats of people to mask their own deficiencies, and Lee and I were hung out to dry. It was shameful and, like I said, unforgivable. It's actually disgusting what happened with me and Lee. Strong words, no real depth into what they did. We certainly got a little snippet of, apparently the misdemeanours that Kenny Miller and Lee Wallace were guilty of, which was basically having a go at players for an Old Firm performance.
Yeah, he's no held back there, but he's no went into too much detail. I was wondering when Kenny was going to come out and speak about it. Obviously spoke about it yesterday in a podcast. And if it's true what people say after the Old Firm game, I know both of them weren't involved, or I think one was on the bench, I'm not too sure, I can't remember back. And they come in after a poor performance, a horrible defeat, and they come in and they say a few home truths. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's experienced guys who have been there for a number of years. I don't see it as a problem. I actually quite like that when players voice their opinion, as long as they don't do it when the manager's speaking. But I wouldn't guess they would do that because they're two respectable players. So, no, Kenny's, you can see he's been disappointed the way it's ended. I think he would have liked it if they weren't going to give him a contract, go out with a decent send-off. It's not happened that way, so that's why I think there's a bit of anger in there, but I can understand why.
I think it's a sad way to end it all. I thought they should have been treated better, especially Lee Wallace, who decided, he may well have sacrificed a long international career, Ruffy, because he decided to go down to the lower leagues with Rangers. He was a captain for me that I think conducted himself with great integrity over those years. Yeah,
as I keep saying, I'm not privy to what happened or what happened after that, but on the outside looking in, it's just bad man management to two really, really big players who gave everything for the club, to be treated that way. All you would have to do would be haul them into an office, and if it's a fine, and deal with it and move on. But it got bigger than that, and it just didn't look for the club that two experienced players like that, particularly your captain and somebody who's served the club for over 15 years, to be treated the way they were.
Yep, and as well as that negative news for Rangers, certainly another little bit of news coming out is that Rangers chairman Dave King has been punished by the takeover panel for committing an offence of the utmost gravity, is how they described it, when he actually was involved in the takeover of the Ibrox club in 2015. So he's got a ban for 4 years, meaning that he'll be unable to work with any further takeovers with any UK financial firms, and I think the general feeling is that the SFA will look into his position as a fit and proper person. Never seems to go away for that Rangers board. It stumbles from one calamity to the next.
Yeah, and I think it's actually opened a lot of supporters' eyes to. Supporters go along to support their team, but the more and more things that have been happening behind the scenes, it's been an eye-opener for a lot of people. All these things that have been going to court here and going to court there. And if you don't come out of it in the right way, it doesn't look good on the individuals.
Yep. Just as a little footnote, we're talking about all this negativity that surrounded football this week. One bit of positivity, I think, for Odsonne Edouard is he keeps scoring for the under-21s, Barry, and everybody keeps looking at him. I think it's going to become mightily difficult January and in the summer for Celtic to resist some of the bids that could come in.
Yeah, well, he certainly is a massive player for Celtic. Obviously, going away with the French under-21s, he seems to score every time he plays with them. I think in time, if he keeps progressing the way he is, I think he will be better than Dembele. And I think Celtic will find it hard to fend off a few bids. I think some big clubs will be looking at him. I think he's got a lot of great attributes. And he's at a great age as well. He's got a lot to learn. So
Hasn't he got a Scottish granny or anything?
No, exactly. I wish it was Odsonne Mick Edouard, but it's not. Just before we go, we started on a negative note. Do you think we can win against San Marino, Barry?
Listen, if we don't win against San Marino, we've got major issues. No, I think it's a good time, as I said previous. Blood a few young ones that have not got the experience. I'm not saying young kids at 18, 19, but the guys that have not got a lot of caps under their belts, and I think we'll beat them by 4 or 5.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I think it's got to be 4 or 5. You know, I don't think we're going to hit the heady hits of 9. So 5 would be good for me.
Okay, I'll go 2-0, narrow win in front of a very, very low crowd. I'm sorry, guys. I'm on a run of being very, very close on these predictions at the moment. And on that note, I wonder who's ahead in the predictions for the SPFL. I'll leave you with that thought. Let's hope we have a better weekend. If you want to comment, you can do it right across all our social media outlets. Like, share and follow us across all Twitter, Facebook Live and YouTube. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the moment, hopefully by the time we get to Monday, we will have slightly a brighter outlook for you on Monday's programme. Barry will be back with us alongside Alison McConnell and Ruffy. So from Ruffy, Barry Ferguson and from myself, Peter Martin, subscribe to our YouTube channel and thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.